Hi, welcome to Friday's mobility class with Tamara Vodovoz and the University of California, Davis and the Livewell Department. Today we're going to work on our rib cage mobility, this area that holds our vital organs, our lungs, our heart, and it's also an area that can cause a lot of problems in the spine, in the mid-back, getting a little bit tight, a little bit stuck, and causing a lot of discomfort. So it's definitely a very important area of our body to focus on for our health, our vitality, our well-being. And I hope that the exercises that we do today can bring you some of that sense of well-being and just the ability to feel more comfortable in your body. So for today, we will need a few things. I have a plan for us to work with a broomstick. So any broomstick works. You basically just unscrew the brush part. Most of the brooms have this. You just unscrew it and you get a nice long hole. So go grab a broomstick, and also we'll need some sort of a foam roller. So this is my fancy Thai foam roller. Any foam roller works. And if you don't have one of these at home, what you can do is get a roller to knead the bread or to knead the dough and wrap that around in a towel so it's not so harsh to lay on. So those are the things we'll need. And of course we'll need to clear the space, clear some floor space especially, so we can roll around on the floor. All right, so let's start seated. And you can be seated either on the floor like I am, or you can be seated on a chair or the edge of your bed. It's fine for now. So go ahead and find your preferred comfortable seated position and bring your hands to your lower ribs. The ribs just below the sternum, and you can feel with your fingers, you can feel the sternum. It's this hard bone right in the center of our chest where our upper ribs attach. So there's some ribs that are attached to the sternum, and then there's ribs that are not attached to the sternum that have more mobility, that are free from that sternum attachment. They're attached to cartilage and of course to a whole bunch of other structures. And in particular that I want to focus on today is the diaphragm, which is a muscle that is, it's kind of like a dome right inside our the middle of our body, of the center of our body, and it creates a separation. It's like the wall between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. So it basically is a muscle that separates our lungs and heart up here from all our digestive system, our liver, our pancreas, all the intestines that are down here in the abdomen. So the diaphragm is really important muscle for breath, but it's also very important for our posture and the stability of our core. So it's not just for breathing. The diaphragm is an incredible muscle that has many functions. It's also attached in the back to our psoas major, which is a big muscle that runs in the back of our abdominal cavity and attaches to the femur bone. So imagine that. So our legs, our femur bones, are directly connected to our diaphragm for breathing. the body is really amazing. And once you start to get into anatomy and understanding all these intricate connections and how things are interlaced and work together, it's mind-blowing. Okay, so with all that I just told you, go ahead and bring your hands to this area where the floating ribs are. So you can feel, and with your fingers, you can even dig in a little bit and feel the edge of those ribs. So what you're touching in there, what you're pressing on, is part of the diaphragm. You're reaching in to touch that muscle, and it can feel a little funny, can feel a little bit weird because we don't usually do this, right? So it might be a little unusual, but go ahead and dig your fingers without fear and feel that. See, where else do you feel it? When I press really, really strong in here, I actually feel something in my low back, almost like that connection with the psoas back there is kind of like tickled. So I can feel like a sensation in the back of my body. It's really interesting. So I just want us to have that moment of exploration and of connection. And take a few breaths, just feeling that. You'll also be able to feel the movement of the diaphragm. All right, and stop digging your fingers in there and just rest your hands on the area that we're exploring. And for a moment, close your eyes and feel the natural movements of your breath. Notice how the ribs move, how the belly moves. And notice where you feel the breath. Where does it feel that it's mostly located? Is it in your abdomen? Is it in the center? Is it in the chest? Where do you feel it? Just a moment of observation before we get into some deeper analysis. It's important to check and see where we're at. All right, release your hands for a moment. So some of us breathe more into the lower part of our body, leaving the ribs kind of static. So we notice maybe that when we breathe, it's the belly that moves more, and then the chest kind of like stays flat and doesn't activate as much. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but we are going to bring in a little bit more effort into waking up and strengthening the capacity to breathe more in the upper part of our body, in our rib cage, in our, really the space where the lungs are. So the lungs are up here, they're not down here. It's just kind of like the abdomen making space for the diaphragm to dome and release as we inhale, and as we exhale, it comes up. And as we inhale, we allow space with the abdomen. So instead of allowing the space with the abdomen, we'll allow more space by opening and expanding the thoracic cavity. So that's the aim of our class today. All right, First thing to notice, bring the hands back to the ribs. And first thing, we will start to make a little effort. And remember, these are gentle efforts. Please do not strain yourself. Don't go too hard. It's a gentle effort. Okay, first, gentle effort. See if you can, on your inhale, feel the ribs and expand them to the sides. And on the exhale, knit the ribs back towards the midline. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now, very important that when we inhale, we're not flaring the ribs forward, but that we're expanding the ribs out to the side. So try that one more time. Let's do it one more time, and this time, inhale, expand to the side, and on your exhale, really knit the ribs down and in. And remember that, because we'll be using this power of the exhale to draw the ribs in and dome the diaphragm up as we exhale. So you don't have to, it's really, you can't really be completely in control of your diaphragm, but when we create these actions with our ribs and our core muscles, we are creating that action in our diaphragm. All right, might be a little bit too heady where I'm going right now, but once we get moving, you'll feel it and it'll make more sense. All right, so let's go ahead and lay down on our back so we can feel it a little bit more clearly in our body. All right. So go ahead and bend your knees, but don't bend them too close to your hips. Actually give yourself more space. So take your knees away from your hips, bring the big toes together, and let there be a little bit space between your heels so that we're creating an action with our legs. Remember how the femur bone is connected to the diaphragm through that crazy connection with the psoas. Another thing, sorry, I forgot to mention, we'll also need either a yoga block or a book. So you can hold something, actually any object that is firm and that gives you a little bit of width between your knees will work for this exercise. So go ahead and squeeze the block between your knees to create and maintain that action in our lower body. And go ahead and lay down on your back. Keep your feet flexed, toes lifted and spreading, and come to lay back. Now keep that, squeezing that block, and bring your hands to the ribs, and see if you can breathe just like we were doing seated. Inhale, expanding the ribs out to the side. Exhale, knitting the ribs in. Take 2 more breaths like that. All right, take a couple of breaths, normal breaths, so you have a break. Keep holding that block between the knees. Now we're gonna add more power. You're gonna feel this deeper in the center of your body, in your core. So now, and you can leave your hands out to the sides. Just make sure that your shoulder, top of the shoulders are pressing down towards the floor. And if you notice that your chin is lifting because your shoulders are a little bit rounded, just go ahead and give your head some support, a little pillow, so that your neck is neutral. All right, hands to the sides to give you support, and lift the hips just a few inches off the ground. And we're not lifting the hips with a lumbar curve, so don't let this happen. Lift and tilt the hips anteriorly. So it's anterior tilt of the hips. So it's like you're pushing your pubis up. Keep that engagement. Keep the knees hugging in, holding that block. And now try that same breath. Inhaling, expand the ribs. Out to the sides. And exhale, knit it in. You're really going to feel your core engaging here, your abdomen engaging here. Let's do 3 more breaths like this. Exhale all the way, so you feel the front of your body really engaging. Two more big breaths like this. All right, and lower your hips, remove the block, and hug your knees into your chest for a moment. Maybe rock a little bit side to side. It's not so easy. It definitely requires a little bit more than just gentle effort. It requires a lot of effort to hold ourselves up like that and feel that engagement of the front of the body. And it's a very healthy exercise to do first thing in the morning or even before going to bed, because it sets us back into a healthy posture. So instead of going to bed with our back hurting, we can do some of these breath exercises and help alleviate some back pain before going to bed, and you'll probably wake up feeling better too. So I want us to do another round of these breaths, and let's aim for 5 really focused, really conscious breaths. Okay, so prepare your block. And I want to make sure that you can see me well, so I'm going to tilt it down a little bit. All right. Great. Take your block, place it between the knees. Remember, it can be a book, something with, I don't know, how many inches is this? I know centimeters, but this is what, like 3 or 5 inches wide. Okay. Press the heels into the floor, bring the big toes together, separate the heels a little bit, create that action in the lower body, and press the shoulders back and down into the floor. Take the arms out to the sides for stand already. So notice how here I'm flaring my ribs. Let's avoid that. Bring them down. So we're already creating that engagement and that action in the midline. And lift the hips. 5 big breaths here. down, release the block. Woo. Rock a little bit side to side, whatever you need to stretch it out. All right. And come up to seated. All right, next one is even a little bit more effort, but still remember to take care of yourself and not strain. And with this one, we'll really feel that those ribs hugging in as you exhale, hugging in and drawing down. So come to your side. We'll be on a side plank. Bring the forearm down and make sure to be nice and supported here. Spread your fingers and really connect. You can also make a fist with your hand and push down. But make sure to push down all the way from the elbow to the wrist. Press down. Okay. And try to bring your body into a flat plane. So not bringing the knees forward, but keeping the knees in line with the rest of your body. Extend the top leg. And start with your elbow a little bit more under your body, not out here, because then we'll end up too far out. So bring the elbow a little bit more under and lift your hips up. So ideally in this position, the shoulder is just above the elbow. And you're in a straight line in your body. Keep your head neutral. And bring your hand, the top hand, to the ribs on this side. Inhale. Create that expansion. Exhale. Knit the ribs in. Let's do 5 big breaths like this. Really bring it in, hug it in and down. Like you're doing a crunch. All right, that was 5 for me. Shake out the arm. Maybe shake out the shoulder if you feel too much tension. We don't want to create too much tension in the body, but we're definitely creating that action right here, knitting those ribs in. Let's go to the other side. Another 5 breaths on the other side. So remember your setup, body flat. Start with the elbow a little bit under, extend the top leg, and lift. And it does help to have the hand here to feel the action of the ribs. The exhale, it's like you feel like you're doing a crunch. And that was 5. Release, move the head, move the shoulders, whatever you need to loosen it up. All right, we're gonna do another round, another set of 5 on each side. Okay, you know the drill. Let's go for it. 5 breaths. Second side. All right, bring it down, shake it out. Whew. Promise we'll do some more stretching, not only engaging, but we'll also expand. But it's really important to have both sides. So it's not just relaxing and stretching. There's also effort to strengthen and stabilize the body. So we need both. We need to be strong and flexible. Balance that out. You got a pretty healthy body right there. Okay, let's go. Let's actually stand up and we'll get into a little bit more active breathing and movement, which I really enjoy this set of exercise that I am going to share with you. All right. So if that didn't wake you up this well, have a moment to maybe shake it out, move a little bit. Swing the arms around. Stand with your feet wide, toes facing forward, and always allow the knees to respond to your body movement. Please don't lock them back. Inhale, reach up. Take your left wrist, pull it all the way to the right, opening the side body. Inhale, come up, change, pull the other wrist over. And let's repeat twice more to each side. Breaking up the cobwebs between the ribs, in the lungs. It's always important to reach and stretch your arms up overhead every day for your lung health, your spinal health. Because if we keep our arms down our whole life, it's like that's where we'll stay. Everything starts to crunch in and it'll stay there. But when you inhale and you breathe up, you're opening the space, you're breaking up the cobwebs and creating, basically creating movement and flow of blood, of lymph. So important to create mobility in our body for its well-being. All right, so here it goes. Keep the feet wide. And it's like we're pushing with our hands, pushing side to side. And the push happens on the exhale. So with the breath and the power of the body to really create movement in our rib cage area. So on the inhale, so when you come back, here's where you inhale and exhale, you push strong. Try to keep the hips as much as possible facing forward and create that rotation in the center of your body. Ready? And we'll start slow and then we'll speed it up. So let's go for 10 on a slow pace and then 10 on a faster pace. Ready? And begin. And speeding it up. Back to center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale through your mouth. 2 more. Very good. Now remember, it's easy to get a little lightheaded when we're doing these strong breath exercises. So make sure that you pace yourself well and that we take enough break time between one set and the other. All right, now we'll go with a side bending motion. So on the exhale, we'll press. So both hands are pressing. One presses under and across, and the other one presses overhead and across for a side bend. Okay? And remember, the inhale happens on the return to center. Exhale, strong, press, inhale here. Exhale, strong pressing. Again, try to keep the hips as static as possible, but definitely allowing the knees to respond as needed. Okay, same. 10 reps slow, and then 10 reps speeding it up, double 10. All right, let's begin. Double time. And down. Inhale up. Exhale, release. 2 more. All right, shake it out. Make sure you're not too dizzy. Do whatever you need to come back to a more even breath. And we'll use our broomstick now. So go get your broomstick. If you haven't grabbed it yet, go grab this broom in the house, unscrew the brush side, and come back. All right. So, broomstick time. Do we have a good view? Yeah. All right. So for the broomstick, it's important that first you don't scratch the floor. So if you are on wood floor or any kind of hard floor, just be mindful that the broomstick might scratch your floor. We don't want to do that. So go ahead and put a blanket, a towel, or if even better, yoga mat or a exercise mat. And then on top of that, you can put a blanket or a towel, because otherwise you'll be sliding. We don't want to slide. So make sure that you have a pretty good surface to put the broomstick down into the floor. So I'm here on carpet. I have a yoga mat and I have a blanket, so it's not going to slide. Very important, it doesn't slide. Okay, so hold the top of the broomstick and start to step back. Take your feet wide, wider than your hips. If you're on a yoga mat, it's about as wide as the yoga mat. And reach with your hands, reach forward, pushing the broomstick away, and lengthen the spine, taking your hips way back. Now it's really important here that we're not dumping our ribs forward. Remember all the work we just did. We actually want to knit the ribs in towards the midline, engage the abdominal muscles, and bring the front towards the back. We don't want to round either, so if this is the case, if you're here, I advise to maybe take the feet a little bit wider and bend the knees to give your low back a little bit more space to extend. All right. On the inhale, same as we did before, same breath pattern. Inhale, expand the ribs out to the sides. Exhale, knit the ribs in towards the midline. And I am actually going to give you guys a better view of my ribs. Woohoo! Okay, here it goes. Let's go for 5 breaths here. Also, hug your legs towards the midline. Remember the connection of the femur bone to the diaphragm. Feels pretty good. Now, definitely important to create that action of the legs hugging in towards the center so that we make that connection of the psoas from the femur bone through our back and into our diaphragm. All right, so we'll repeat, but this time we'll give it a little twist. So hold on to with one hand the top of the broomstick, and with the other one slide down. Only as far as it is comfortable, and you can adjust the broomstick. Maybe you can reach a little bit further, but not too much. I don't want us to get too collapsed because we want to maintain that action that we're going for in our core. All right, so with a little bit of a twist, same gentle effort, inhaling to expand, exhale, knit it in. Let's go for 5. It's a little bit harder this way. Hug the legs in towards the midline. All right, whew. Bring it up. Shake it out if you need to. We'll go to the other side. Really good stuff here. It's hard for me too. Okay. Second side, step back and slide the other arm down. And 5 big breaths here. Hug those legs in towards the middle. pretty good. And let's do a little stretching with the broomstick. Bring the broomstick up over your shoulders. Take the feet wide, this time as wide as your hands are, so pretty wide. Turn the toes out. You can bend the knees a little bit and just a little side to side. Mobilizing the ribs side to side. You can do this gentle movement. And now rotating. Feels good to let the arms relax here. My arms are just resting on the broom stick. I'm just giving myself some gentle movement here. All right. Another interesting thing that I would like to explore with the stick is to come into triangle pose and to reverse triangle pose. For those of you who are familiar with yoga. If not, just follow along the cues. I'll set you up. All right. So take the feet wide. With your, let's start right toes facing forward and turn the left toes to the left. Keep the legs hugging in towards the midline, thighs activated. And bring the stick to your left side. Inhale, reach the right arm up. And exhale, start to slide the left hand down and hold the top of the broomstick with the right hand. Ooh, and I'm sliding because I'm on the blanket. So I'm going to move it over. All right, we'll do that again. So left toes to the left, right toes forward. And the stick is about, it's right next to your right foot. Inhale, reach up. Go all the way over, reach for the stick, and maybe this is as far as you're gonna go. So you can stay here or start to slide the left hand down to the floor. And remember that knitting in of the ribs with the exhale. Let's hold for 5 breaths. And slowly come up. And let's go to the other side. So pivot your feet. So left toes face forward, right toes face to the right. Stick next to your right foot. Big inhale, reach up. Find the top of the broomstick and slide the right hand down. And 5 breaths here, knitting those ribs in. And slowly come up. Wonderful. Let's turn back towards the left. This time, bring your hips, turn your hips so that they are facing towards the left. The broom will come to the right side of the left foot. And you can allow some space. So not only are we creating this space back and forth between our feet, let there be also some space side to side between the feet. So the right foot can go more to the right, is what I mean to say. All right. Bring your left hand to the left hip. and draw it back. Create that engagement in the abdomen. Inhale, reach the left arm up. And exhale, reach forward. We'll need to adjust here, so bring the stick to where it is comfortable to lean forward. So maybe you need to take the stick a little bit more forward. And slowly start to slide the right hand down as you open up to look towards your left. Now, really important that this hip doesn't roll all the way down. Keep a little bit of action, keeping that hip back so that we feel the lengthening in our ribs. And slowly come up. This is more of a tricky one. So if it was awkward, you can come up and readjust. Maybe place the stick a little bit more to the left because we don't want to tweak the shoulder. So maybe keeping it on this side is a little bit too intense on the shoulder. I want to try it actually with the stick more to the left. Yeah, that works too. But then the right hand comes towards the floor or to your block. So that's another good option if you have the yoga block. You can bring the hand to the block and then open up. Don't fall. Using the stick as a support. There's another nice way to do it. I'm going to show it in this direction. So you can explore different ways to stretch, open up, feel your body. All right, let's go to the other side. So we have our different supports. So now right foot forward, left foot back, and bring the hip back, the right hip back. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Lean forward, find the stick, and find your twist. This actually feels like a really good position for me. And I can really focus on breathing into the ribs and getting that knitting action in towards the midline. Remember, if you have the block, you can also use the block. It feels really good to have the stick because I have something to reach and pull against. So I'm really activating this whole area, which is what we're going for. All right, and let's bring it up. Whew. And we can leave the stick to the side. That was pretty good. We're gonna go back to the floor. So bring your foam roller nearby. Open up your blanket. And I am going to tilt to stand a little bit, focus back on floor work. Hi, who was laughing there? All right. That looks pretty good. All right. Back to the floor. Okay, there's another really interesting exercise that is new to me, but it's supposed to really get us to feel what we're going for. So if you haven't felt it yet, you will with this one. So go ahead and bend your knees and bring your knees in. So you're creating a little ball. And bring your big toes together and separate your heels just a tiny bit. And yes, it's knees really close in. And if you have the block, you can hold the block between the knees, and that's really gonna help you to keep the action going. But the block is not absolutely necessary. It can be without the block and just squeezing the knees in towards the center. All right, really important that we create a strong extended spine here. So please don't allow this to happen, so no rounding. If you're rounding too much, take your heels a little bit more forward. Don't compromise your spine for anything else. Spine is very important. All right, keep that action in. And take the arms forward. Inhale. Open, 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 open. Exhale. Take the arms down. Squeeze the knees in. Inhale, lift the arms. Only shoulder height. Exhale down. 5 of those. Seems pretty easy, but it's not. Squeeze the knees in. Shoulders back and down. Inhale. Only shoulder height. Exhale. 1 more. Oh my God. It's so intense. Let your knees fall open for a moment. That's really intense. I thought it wasn't gonna feel so hard right now, but after we did all of that warming up, I thought it was gonna be easier, but no, it's not. It's still hard. It's really, I really feel it deep in my core, deep in my psoas, and definitely in the diaphragm. And just moving the arms this much had a significant effect when I was really engaging the lower body. So that's really intense. I felt it all the way in my pelvic floor. It's a really good one. How about we do another round of those? We have time. Let's do it. So again, set yourself up. Flex your feet, spread the toes, bring the big toes together, and let there be some space between your heels. Make sure your sit bones are on the floor, and squeeze the knees in towards the midline. This is key. If your knees are opening up, that's not it. You have to squeeze the knees in to create that deep core engagement we're going for. All right, reach forward. And inhale, open up. And begin. Exhale, hands down, shoulders back and down. Inhale only to shoulder height. Exhale. Let's do 3 more. Woo. And let the knees open up. Oh my God, that one is good. And let's go back to the floor to do the one we did at the beginning, which it's because it's so good for us, and it helps our back and everything. This exercise is amazing. So let's now bring our heels a little bit more away from our hips. Flex the feet, spread the toes, and go ahead and lay back. We'll use the foam roller in a moment. Okay. And now bring all 10 fingertips together, like you're holding a little sphere in your hands, and bring it straight up over your heart. So already create a little bit of an interior tilt in the pelvis, So the pubic bone presses up a little bit and the abdomen becomes more concave. So we're already engaging the center of the body. And now with your inhale, push, breathe into the back of the ribs, push the back of the ribs into the floor, expanding the back. And on your exhale, knit those ribs in, bring your belly in towards your spine. And go ahead and lift your hips just a couple inches off the ground. And let's take 5 breaths here. Bring your arms straight up overhead, still holding that sphere between your hands, pressing all 10 fingertips together. 3 more big breaths here. Same action. Lower the hips down, hug your knees into your chest. Oh my God, give yourself a break, give yourself a hug. And here comes the reward. Where's your foam roller? Bring it out. And here's the reward. You get to roll on your foam roller. Woo. Make sure your hair doesn't get caught. There you go. Now you can flare the ribs. It's a little counter stretch from everything we were just doing. I like opening up this way and then taking the knee side to side. Feels great. You might feel that you have a little bit more internal rotation in your thighs now after we've worked on the diaphragm, because remember how the diaphragm is connected to the psoas and the femur. Interesting connections. This feels really good. Reaching one arm up and hugging the ribs with the other hand as I twist the legs side to side. You can also support your head and just rock. This is the typical one. This is the one that everyone wants to do, that feels good. Go for it. It's your reward after you've worked so hard to create more stability and proper action for your posture and your ribs. Another one that feels good is just letting the hips come down and then rolling side to side. But really any type of movement here on the foam roller that feels good to you is valid. This one feels particularly nice. Side stretching. Here I can pull my top rest over. Let's go to the other side. And we're done. You can keep rolling as much as you want. If you're on a roll, stay on your roll, enjoy. Reward yourself after all this hard work. And I will see you here again soon for more of this. Mobilities is on Friday. Lots of other classes online. Check out the classes that are recorded on my Tamara Vodovoz Yoga Facebook page and YouTube channel. Or say hi on Instagram. I'm all over the frickin' social media place. And I'll see you soon. Ciao, ciao. Take care.